Imagine stumbling upon a book of wisdom, one so powerful it was actually used to train the leaders of an ancient empire. A guide filled, not with dense abstract philosophy, but with short, sharp stories designed to build real character. For centuries, a lot of this text was just lost to the world. But now, we're going to open it up.
So let's just dive right in. What can a collection of fables written 2,000 years ago for Chinese princes and officials possibly teach us today? Well, as it turns out, these are not your simple bedtime stories. Think of them more like intense moral and political flight simulators.
The Han Shi Waizhuan, and you should really think of it as a practical guidebook from the Han Dynasty, which was one of China's most important and formative periods. This thing wasn't meant to sit on a dusty shelf. It was a tool, a curriculum, used to forge the minds of the men who would go on to rule, to judge, and to shape an entire society.
So, in this explainer, we're going to journey through its core lessons, some pretty radical ideas on what it means to be a leader, an almost impossible test of integrity, a debate on the definition of true worth, and, why this ancient wisdom still feels so incredibly relevant.
First up, leadership. The Han Shi Waizhuan pretty much throws out the whole idea that a leader is just someone who gives orders and has all the power. Instead, it argues that real strength, well, that's found in something much, much harder to master: character.
What's so fascinating about this story is how it completely subverts our expectations. Right? King Zhuang has the enemy city exactly where he wants it. It's on the verge of total collapse. But when the enemy envoy honestly describes their horrific suffering, the king doesn't see weakness. He sees a shared humanity. He admits his own army is just days from the same fate. And this single act of vulnerability, of respect, it achieves what pure force never could: an immediate and a lasting peace. It's brilliant.
But the book also gives us another, much quieter model of leadership. This isn't a king on a battlefield, but an administrator named Xiaobo, and his main concern wasn't some grand strategy, but something way more fundamental, just not bothering the common people.
What's really remarkable here is that his influence didn't come from a grand palace or a throne. Nope. He held court under a pear tree, just to stay out of the way of farmers and merchants. And his legacy? It wasn't a statue of himself. It was the people's fierce, unwavering protection of that simple tree, a living monument to a leader who served them so humbly that they never ever forgot it.
All right, so next, the text moves from the public world of leadership right into the private world of personal integrity. And this is where the stories get truly intense, presenting officials with choices that, honestly, seem to have no right answer at all. So the scenario starts off simply enough. You have Shi Jing, he's the Minister of Justice. It's his job to uphold the law, plain and simple. He's pursuing a killer, just doing his duty, as you'd expect.
And then, the twist. The man he has cornered, the murderer, is his own father. And just like that, his public duty and his private, family duty are in a direct, unbreakable conflict.
I mean, what do you do? Arresting your own father would be an unthinkable betrayal of family. But letting a murderer go free is a complete betrayal of your duty to the state and to the law. There's just no middle ground here.
Shi's solution is, well, it's absolutely shocking. He basically declares that to let his father go would make him disloyal, but to pursue him would be unfilial, a terrible son. He's trapped between these two core virtues, and he sees only one path forward. He can't break either principle, so he removes himself from the equation entirely. He chooses to die, preserving both his loyalty to the state and his duty to his family in the only way he possibly can.
The text then pivots to another timeless question, one that honestly feels like it could be debated on social media right this second. What makes a person truly valuable? Is it their success, their wealth, or is it something else entirely?
So the book sets up this really stark contrast. On one side, you've got Zigong, a successful courtier. He's got the fancy clothes, the expensive transportation. He's the very picture of worldly success. And on the other side is Zhengzi, a scholar living in just abject poverty, with worn-out robes and calloused hands. Zigong looks at Zhengzi and feels pity for him. But Zhengzi's response just completely reframes the entire situation. He says, look, being poor isn't a sickness. The real sickness, the real failure, is knowing what's right, studying the way, but being unable to actually live by it. In that one sentence, he claims the ultimate high ground. He may lack wealth, sure, but he possesses something far more valuable: his integrity.
So after going through these really powerful stories, you have to ask, what's the big picture here?
Why did the leaders of the Han Dynasty think these specific stories were so critical to learn?
Well, when you put them all together, a really clear philosophy starts to emerge. Leadership isn't about dominance, it's about earning trust through humility. Integrity isn't supposed to be easy. It's defined by how we act when we're faced with those impossible choices. A person's real worth is measured by their character, not their bank account. And the core idea here is that a good society is built piece by piece from the personal virtue of its people, which all leads to this final, beautiful point, that true principle is immovable, like a stone that simply can't be rolled away.
At the end of the day, the Han Shi Waizhuan wasn't just a collection of nice stories. It was something like the moral operating system for an entire civilization. It provided a blueprint, arguing that the strength of an empire rested completely on the character of the individuals within it, from the emperor all the way down to the farmer.
These powerful, compact narratives helped shape the values of one of history's greatest empires. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a world with so much noise and so much information, what are the core stories that we turn to for our own moral compass? What stories guide you?